What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to today's video. The topic, one knight a3 and how to play against atypical chess. We're going to be going through a game, a very brilliant game played by somebody who used strong technical principles to defeat completely weird play. Today's video is going to be on a game that was played between two players, white being the stronger player, black being the weaker player, where white plays bad chess on purpose to show just how good of a player he is. And I personally believe this because I was looking at this player's games, and he beat the black player very easily the game before in a normal game of chess, and here he the second game that I saw, he played completely insane chess, and he thought he could get away with it. At least that's what I think. And black schooled white, and I think this is an absolutely excellent game that you should have in your memory banks, because what this game shows is how to stay calm under pressure, how to defeat bad chess. We hear all the time about principles, and we're supposed to do this and do that, but why not play, why not play on the side of the board instead of the center? Well, you're going to find out why those principles are there. They're not there just because somebody wants you to play in the center. They're there because they're correct. So let's find out how black destroyed one knight a3. Okay? One knight a3. So, and I'm going to do this kind of like live analysis. I've seen this game, I haven't seen it recently, but I wanted to kind of go through it like we were over the board playing the game, kind of like looking at ideas, just what we see, because I know this game, I've looked at it with computer analysis, and there's not much to tell. Oh, black plays very well, white on purposely plays bad, and then he starts playing good, but it's too late. Okay, so we're just going to kind of do live analysis here. Black plays this a d5, which is, I think, accurate against one knight a3 for a couple of reasons. One, c4 is a possible idea, but now you get to play with d4. And all of a sudden this knight is kind of weirdly placed. Knight c2 does attack the pawn, I will say, but c5 will be coming at some point. This knight is not going to be well placed on the c2 square. Also, what this does is it stops the knight from getting to the c4 square just immediately. A lot of players like to play one e5 against knight a3, because all of a sudden you're attacking the knight. But this is exactly what white wanted black to play. Why? Because knight c4, and then all of a sudden this knight is becoming centralized, and this pawn is still bad for white, I'll say, but it puts black under pressure. Sometimes he'll want to play something like d6, and all of a sudden you've completely given away any advantage that you've gotten as black. And white's knight is not too badly placed, and it's pretty even, but psychologically black has taken the underhand. Overhand, is that a word? He's worse, psychologically speaking. So, d5 I think is accurate, and let's see, white plays d4. Obviously this is to prepare some sort of c4 at some point. And now is when white again plays a very solid move, if I remember right. Yes, it's e6. And basically the idea with e6 is, okay, yes, now I am attacking this knight. I may or may not take it. A bishop is a bishop and a knight's a knight. But I am putting pressure on you. I have the tension. You don't. You're the one who thought you were going to have a psychological edge. Well, no, I'm going to take it, okay? So, white, I believe, is trying to keep this edge. He played very confidently, I'm sure, knight b5, since that is one horrific move. Well, it's not that horrible, but basically the idea is he's going to concede two moves. Black played this c6 line, which I'm not totally convinced about. I believe a6 would have been a little stronger. Basically with the idea that a6, knight c3, at some point I can play c5 in one move. And I'm ahead a lot of tempos. It's basically like he played d4, d5, knight c3, e6, gave me a move, and then another move. So 2 moves to my advantage works for me, but black decided to go with Slav 2 moves up, and no c4. So I can't blame him. Knight c3, bishop b4, keeping up the pressure on this knight. Remember, black lost to white, and it was very convincing. Black is an 1860 rated player, and white's a 1975 player, at least they were. So, as you can tell, this is, white is stronger. He won very convincingly. So now black is definitely respecting white, and now white is just trying to completely blow black out of the water here. But black stayed very calm. He played bishop b4. Looks like queen d3 was the move. And here it became pretty apparent where white's king was going to go. He's going to go to the queen side here at some point. For some reason, I don't know. But he's trying to mix things up. He's trying to make things crazy. He wants white to play knight f6, bishop g5, castles kingside, castles queenside. That's exactly what he wants to do. But I think black recognized here just in the nick of time what white's plan was, because he switched from the knight f6 line that you would have... No, he did play knight f6, not right here with knight f6. I think bishop g5 might have been a little stronger with bishop d2, which does break the pin. However, again, bishop g5 initiates a pin and you're going to castle anyway. But here is when, obviously, black recognized that white's castling queenside, and he played knight b to d7, which I think is a pretty good move. This is planning a c5 or an e5, both of which, after knight takes pawn, you will be attacking the queen will be forced to move, and you will gain some, time, which you're already ahead of time, so you might as well get more ahead of time. Also, of course, this is preparing to open up some queenside lines. So again, very good. Castles queenside, what a surprise. Let's see, 7 moves on the queen side of the board so far. c5, blowing things open. Bishop g5, okay, might as well make another queenside move, or with queenside piece, because, that's what makes most sense. After you've played 7 queenside piece moves, you might as well make another. Not that big of a difference, eh? Apparently white is still trying to play with some sort of, weird chess idea, like, I am going to start attacking your king. I want you to castle, I want to play h4, g4, stuff like that. But here, black wisely stayed away from white's plan. He played queen a5. Point being now, a3 or a2 is hanging. And also you've got, you're not castling, because white wants you to castle. White's not preparing a central attack. He's preparing a kingside attack. And so he's getting his king to the queenside immediately. But here you're putting extreme pressure on this knight, this pawn, and this queen is feeling very, very oddly placed right now. So what happened was, after this queen move, I think white began to sweat. He didn't really begin to sweat until after black's next move, but I think he's beginning to sweat. He played pawn takes pawn, which is a very interesting move. And it's what I would call a last resource in the position. Here, I think that white started to play a little bit more conservatively. This marks the point where he starts playing more conservatively, or at least this next move here. And this shows exactly how, this next move from black shows how to play against a weird player. He's played 9 queenside moves. Call that, if you don't want to call that weird, then don't call anything weird. a6, boomtown. What is going on here? Well, the threat after knight takes c5, one more move. He thinks he has black. Ouch. Queen b5. No more attack. You're attacking c7. This piece is going to fall double pawn style. You've got nothing. White's got you exactly where he wants. But black played high class, a6. And here from this move on, I don't see anything resemblant of a weak player. This is somebody who's really, really trying now. And this person has gone from trying to take a psychological upper hand to being very, very much lower psychologically, worse positionally, and mentally, which is, he's gone, basically. So what happened was after this a6 move, white played c6, which is a very, very strong indicator that that white is not in a good psychological state. Because clearly here you need to think. You're going to lose the c5 pawn. I mean, you're never going to win anything in the first place. But you're trying to set a trap. And if you just leave this pawn here on c5, you're basically admitting you made a bad mistake and you're trying to play best chess now. But c6 is a move that is, well, to be perfectly honest, horrific. It's a scared move. He's afraid of knight c5 so much that he pushes the pawn and tries to avoid a knight c5. But all of a sudden he's opening up the b file, which is going to become huge for black. And of course he is not stopping knight to c5 at any point. So clearly he's starting to make inferior decisions. Generally, when you're when you have an upper hand psychologically, you make good moves. Now you may make cocky moves like this guy played, which end up being bad moves. But a lot of times you're thinking faster. Your brain is making those connections so much better because you're in a positive mood. When you go into a negative mood, your brain actually starts slowing down. I've noticed this with tactics over time. If I miss a lot of tactics, then I start slowing down. My brain, I can't think as much, and I start missing more and more tactics, and it's kind of like a snowball. And that's why we have streaks. Sometimes we play really, really good, we get in a really good state of mind, and we're just, I mean, it may have been because we had, 3 Red Bulls before we played the game of chess, but most of the time it's because we win, and we start winning again and again. We get in a really good state, we're really firing fast, and then, something as easy as one loss can all of a sudden start slowing you down a lot. You can take a big losing streak this way. And so I think the switch has occurred with this 1a6, and all of a sudden now white's making horrible decisions. So let's see how the game finished. c6, and I said finished because the game's already over with. Computer is giving black a 1.65 pawn advantage. Very good. Not over with, but it's pretty clear it's over with. So, you have made 10 queenside moves in a row. You might as well make a 11th. Bishop d2. Bad, bad play from somebody who's clearly very strong. He crushed this black player the game before, and all of a sudden he's lost it. He's playing another queenside move. He's just afraid. He's trying to somehow get black to take, and maybe after taking on a2, trap the queen somehow. That's not going to work. Let's see, so after bishop to d2, white did play bishop takes c3. Maybe not the most accurate of moves, to be perfectly honest. Keeping the tension probably would have been pretty strong there. Rook to b8 would have just completely gone with the flow of the game. I'm not quite sure why he or she played this way. It's often, I guess, when you see your opponent making subpar moves, sometimes you yourself will make a subpar move, you start relaxing. Very important to stay on top of it. So Rook b8 would have stayed on top of it again. a3 actually is blunderous. Hashtag game is over. I want to say queen takes works. Probably bishop takes would have been a little stronger, but the point is you can't take it because of mate. So, Rook b8 would have been strong. But anyway, bishop c3 was played. Was bishop c3 played or queen c3? It was bishop c3. Then queen takes a2. Notice how I just grabbed that pawn, took it to the queen. Munchville, okay, population, black's queen. Let's see, so after queen a2, white played king d2. If you're keeping track, that's 13 straight queenside moves. I don't know what he's thinking with this move. Just running away. You can't put a piece on d2, but it's not like you're really threatening queen a. One check. In fact, b3 probably would have been a good move. But anyway, king d2, just not a good move. Knight c5, attacking the queen, and preparing a knight check. Now, you could have played a knight check immediately, but this is completely useless. The king will just go back to e1, in which case you don't have another check. However, what black decided was he wanted to gain a tempo by attacking the queen, and then move this knight instead of this knight to the e4 square. Basically, if you check him, you'll have a knight on d7 and a knight on e4. If you play here to there, you've got a knight on e4 and a knight on f6, a little better. So knight c5, a good move. Knight c5, queen to d4, a battery. I think that's as decent of a move as you could expect. Knight c to e4, Chekaruski. King to e1, and no time to eat the bishop. No reason to eat the bishop. It's time to keep breathing down white's neck. White is down a pawn, but the only thing you can really grasp onto is to say, I have a lead in development and the king is in the center of the board. I mean, our king's in the center of the board. He can castle, but we need to be careful. We need to make sure that we keep going hard, which is what black did with c5. He keeps coming. They ain't gonna stop till the fat lady sings. I don't think there was a fat lady in this game because this person never stopped, like even when he was down like a queen and a rook. I think, yeah, this is right. Queen to e4 makes sense. Not really. Sorry, it's actually queen d3. That's why it didn't make sense. Queen d3, d4, attacking the bishop. Maybe not the most, maybe not the best move here. You can see why white is actually a good player here. He takes advantage of a small little pin in the position. Obviously, pawn takes bishop, loses to queen to d8 mate. So he finally makes a move on the king side of the board besides a king move. And it's a good one. It's a good last trap, I would say. And here things are a little complicated, but it was pretty simple for black to figure out. He played e5. Not bad at all. Basically now he's saying, you know, I'm just going to keep this pawn here. I can't take you immediately, but I may just castle, maybe even play bishop to f5. And there's nothing you can do. So after e5, which is a great time to resign, by the way, if you're white. e5, b3 was played. I guess this is one more good trap. Traparuski, if castle's kingside, rook a1 traps the queen. However, what he failed to notice was all of a sudden, while you could take the bishop before, you can sure take him now. With the knight. Hashtag ouch. What's coming next is not pretty, so cover your eyes. Knight c3. Played e takes d4. I don't know. Clearly he's not thinking. E takes d4. Knight d1. Queen d1. Castle's kingside. Another high-class move from black. He's getting his king out of the center of the board. You're up a rook and a piece. You don't need to be up a rook a piece. And you can give up a pawn if it means getting your king out of the center of the board. Castle's kingside, d takes e5. He's like, I might as well munch as much as I can. Knight g4, which isn't very much to munch if you're down that much material. f4. Notice the queen couldn't take the knight because of the bishop on c8. And bishop f5 was played, aiming at c2 square. Obviously, a queen trade would be great. And then again, if you want to make the king in the center of the board, you could just play like rook moves to the center of the board, all that good stuff. But he's playing bishop to f5 to activate this rook and all that good stuff. So Makes sense, makes sense. Bishop to d3, answering all these threats of the rooks and the bishops. Bishop takes d3. It's as good as any move, I guess. Queen takes d3. Queen a1. King e2. Wait. King e2. Rook a8. And white resigned. Now, why did he resign at this particular moment? Well, he could have resigned earlier. But basically now the point is queen... This is a skewer. Yeah, a skewer, because the weaker piece, the queen, is being skewered to the stronger square, the d1 square. Whenever you can check a king with a queen right next to him, for instance, on the d1 square, the squares, if you draw a straight line or diagonal across the king, the two squares immediately on either side of that square are the squares you gotta cover for there to be a mate. And what black saw here is that this knight covers these two squares, which means the mate square is right here. d1 is a mate square, so you're threatening mate, or you're skewering the queen to mate. And white threw in the towel here. An excellent game from black. Starting off, I'm sure, with a psychological disadvantage. And, you know, obviously with a rating disadvantage too. White just played crazy chess. I'm not sure what he was thinking, and I think the reason why he played so badly was because black played so well. This is an excellent demonstration of how to beat somebody when they play completely crazy. You've got something like knight a3. You play d5. Should be a signaler that black knows what he's doing here. 1 d5, and going back to the opening is what I'm saying. Knight a3, d5, stopping the c4 square. It's as simple as that. Black was on his game, and that's what you've got to do if you're going to beat somebody who plays crazy, crazy chess. There's a reason why you don't castle queenside normally in 5 moves. Why you don't move your knight, your bishop, your queen, your pawn, and you castle queenside. There's a reason. Because the attack is thrown way off. And I think black just showed excellently how to keep a balance of being ready to castle at any moment, but not actually castling. Not allowing white to start his attack. He just continued his attack. Black continued his attack, and white had to start playing good move chess again, and it was just a couple of high class moves from black with that a6, with that castles kingside late that just burned white. It was not easy, but it worked. Black played brilliantly, white played horribly, and you have 0-1 from a weaker player. It's how to do it. Let me know what you think. If you got any other pro tips that, or amateur tips, whatever, on how to beat somebody who plays this type of chess. Let me know in the comments section, and I would love for you to subscribe and like this video. Subscribe, not to this video, because that would be weird. Subscribing to one video is kind of useless, but if you subscribe to my channel, I would highly appreciate that. Also, thank you for watching this in-game this Our Games video series. We are now done. We're going to move on to some other cool things in store. We'll continue with our in-game lab series. If you are not familiar with that, make sure you check it out. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a nice day.